Russian President Vladimir Putin delivered a speech at this year's SCO summit, his first at a global summit since a short-lived mutiny last month when the head of the Wagner mercenary group, Yevgeny Prigozhin, led a failed rebellion against the Kremlin. During a virtual gathering, the Russian president projected an image of strength in front of world leaders. Putin told Asian leaders that the Russian people were more united than ever.
The Russian people are consolidated as never before. The solidarity and high responsibility for the fate of the fatherland was vividly demonstrated by Russian political circles and the entire society by coming out as a united front against the attempted armed rebellion. I would like to take this opportunity to thank my colleagues from countries of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization which expressed support for the actions of the Russian leadership to protect the constitutional order, life and security of residents.
For Putin, the summit presented an opportunity to show he's in control after a short-lived insurrection by Wagner mercenary chief. Putin addressed leaders from China, India, Pakistan, and 4 Central Asian countries. Many of the leaders in virtual attendance are considered as Russian-friendly nations. They either share borders, diplomatic aims, or strong economic ties with Moscow. Putin also used the platform to send a message of defiance to the West. He came down heavily on Western sanctions on Moscow. The Russian president backed trade accords between SCO nations and local currencies seen as an attempt to bypass sanctions. Chinese President Xi Jinping also attended the meeting. Xi mentioned the importance of safeguarding regional peace and security. He urged SCO members to follow the right direction and enhance their solidarity and mutual trust. Moreover, the Chinese president also warned against colored revolutions and a new Cold War. According to Xi, countries have to be highly vigilant against external forces who might create confrontation in the region. The same was also reiterated by him during the 2022 SCO summit in Uzbekistan's Samarkand. Moscow and Beijing have long criticized colored revolutions for being destabilizing influences that have been orchestrated by the United States and its Western allies to overthrow regimes in order to further their own geopolitical interests. Okay, well, for more on this, we are now being joined by Dr. Gilbert Doctorow from Brussels. He is an international affairs analyst. Thank you so much for joining us on WION. My first question is regarding the SCO. Is it now tilting towards nations which have a partnership with Russia or are of interest in the Russia zone, so to say?
You have to look at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization in a larger context because it is expanding with considerable speed. This summit was the first time that that Iran participated as a fully qualified member. There are about 14 countries that now are standing in line awaiting admission to the SCO. And they are not all in Eurasia. In fact, the organization is beginning to expand beyond Eurasia into North Africa. Egypt has indicated very recently that it intends to join, and that would already change the coloration or the nature of the SCO. Saying that the countries that are in line are there because of their relationship with Russia, I think is to misjudge the potential and the purposes of the SCO. After all, the co-founders are China and Russia, as well as the Central Asian republics, and China has a very heavy weight. As a whole, the SCO now accounts for 50% of the world's population, and it covers about 2/3 to 3/4 of the Eurasian continent. So it is an organization primarily to look after security and economic interests of its members, but it is an organization that has interests well beyond the narrow interests of the Kremlin.
And we see that many countries in the global south are either... Yes, please.
Yes, please.
And we see many countries in the global south who are reluctant to get involved in the Russia-Ukraine conflict or have their own opinions that may be a little different than the West, notably the United States. With organizations like this, where does the New World Order, the liberal world order, stand at this point?
Well, the reluctance of countries in the Shanghai Cooperation Organization to go against Russia and their particular interest, in the words of President Xi today, when he spoke against color revolutions and saying that preventing them should be a task of the SCO. You have to keep in mind that nearly all of the founding member countries of the SCO have been victims of attempted color revolutions which had the United States behind them. And so in that sense, they are sympathetic to Russia's travails and its attempt to take control of its own security, which was threatened by the United States and NATO by way of Ukraine. That concerns the SCO. Of course, other countries in the global south have their own particular history of particularly American intervention or meddling in their affairs, which again gives them a direct experience that to justify a policy of restraint with respect to what the Russians are now doing in Ukraine.